I don't know what to do about this. You're supposed to be talking or something. Is he? Well, he told me that the mayor of Depot may be here to talk to the mayor of Greenville. Where's Tim didn't bring my little hammer, so gavel. Anyway, Laura, can you lead us in the roll call?
I can. Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Kidwell. Here. Councilmember Teague.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here. Okay, we're all here and accounted for, so I'd like to ask Chief Shipley to come up and lead us in the invocation, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us, dear God. And Lord, all your blessings you've bestowed on us, dear Father. Lord, we thank you, dear God, and watching over the mayor and taking care of him and getting him back to us, Father. Lord, we ask you to be with this council, Lord. Help them make the decisions that they need to be made and it be in your will. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Go face the flag. I pledge it.
Want to welcome everyone to coming today. Had a little something that happened last meeting, and I appreciate everybody paying attention and letting Tim lead us through the meeting. And I also want to thank Todd for putting words out, because there was some pretty crazy stuff going on. My wife was freaking out, my kids were freaking out, and I'm just blessed beyond measure to get through what we got through. And I want to take a second just to thank Eric Price was here, and he got me back and started taking care of things. And then we had two people from the fire department, and it was Michael Kinzer and Maurice Barundo Reyes, and they took care of me out here. And then there were two EMS folks, Ken Lawrence, who's an EMT, and Andrew Connor, who is a paramedic. And they got me from right here to Johnson City Medical Center in less than 23 minutes. So if you are ever see an ambulance or an emergency vehicle, get the heck out of their way, because they're going for a reason, and they need to get there quickly. I had surgery an hour and a half after the thing happened at 4 o'clock. So at 5:30, I was having surgery, having a clot removed from my brain. And I might talk sometimes about ballot and some of the challenges we've had over the last few years, but they kept me alive. And the nurses that took care of us were unbelievable. The people that have reached out to me and my family, my wife, Jolynn, my daughters, Charlie and Savannah. I don't know that I'll make it through if I keep talking, because it was incredible. And I am so proud to be a portion of this community. And we might have good days, we might have days where we disagree with each other, but overall we care a lot about each other, and we're trying to do the right things. So I'm proud to be the mayor of Greenville. I'm proud to be the mayor of a person living in Greene County, and just thanks everyone. I can't say enough. This was I'll just stop right there. Thank you. Also, I wanted to make a comment about the Iris Festival. It was a great turnout, great. One thing with my stroke is there's some words that I have a hard time getting out. So if I say stuff and it sounds stupid, just realize that I'm stupid. But anyway, it was a great event. I appreciate all the work from the partnership, all the people that were involved, all the activities that went along. It was a great thing. The car show turned out great, having 500 cars down there. I think people from all over enjoyed seeing those vehicles, and it was a good thing. And then the Brew Fest. I didn't go down there because after being out for 5 or 6 hours, I can't spend any more time like that. But I understand that it was a great event also. So it's great having 15,000 people come to our community, and people come out and look at our Greenville. So thank you so much for your efforts on that. I also want to, I think we've got some people from the Leadership Greene County group. So if you're a part of that group, can you stand up? We got to stand back up. I know most everybody, but I need you to introduce yourself so everybody can know.
I'm Nicole Rader. I'm the director of the Greenville Center.
Town planner and GIS admin. Town of Greenville.
Nathan Keys, Greenville Light and Power Engineering.
Michael Higgins on the HR advisor at Donald's.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in, and now you can give them a hand. Is there anybody on them? Okay. Well, we will move along to unfinished business. Have I missed something yet? Okay. All right. Somebody throw something at me if I miss something. Is there something? No, you're good. Okay. All right, unfinished business is consideration to approve the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting held on May 20th, 2025. We got those in on Friday. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there any further discussion or anything else added? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. All right. Next is new business. 8.1 is a sneak peek of the Drowsy Chaperone.
So I'm going to speak to this one. The cast of the summer musical produced by the Greenville Theater Guild regrets that they couldn't be here today to do a full performance. Last year we had special guests that performed in The Sound of Music come and do like a little sneak peek preview for the town. We had that planned for the Drowsy Chaperone today, but we are dealing with a few cast members who are experiencing some illness, some sickness, and we thought that it might not be the best thing to bring them out. But we would like to take an opportunity and officially invite the town of Greenville and Greene County to come out and see the show. The dates are on the poster right there, but we also have some little rack cards there on the sign-in table. We encourage you to come out and see the performing arts in our community. It is an incredible cast, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of it, but if you want to see a city council member tap dance and roller skate blindfolded on stage, come on out and see it. But it's truly it's an amazing cast. The talent is impeccable, and we just invite you all to come out and have some fun as we experience a 1920s rendition of a musical comedy. So come on out.
Thank you. I don't know, those of you that have not been to see one of the Greenville Theater Guild shows, you've missed opportunities. If you have been, I hope you will continue to go. All right, now item 8.2 is the what everyone has been waiting for and just waiting in anticipation. Laura's ready to go.
I suppose.
I'm also a little bit different and a little bit open. My wife has said that I'm saying a lot of things that I've never said in the past. So, Todd, again, if I start saying something, here. So item 8.2 is consideration to approve an ordinance on first reading to adopt the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026. Laura?
Okay, so Kathy has the presentation pulled up there. This is just really an abbreviated version of what we went through in our work session last week. This is what's included in the budget. We have got the step, the cost of living increase in there. Our fund balance drawdown is roughly 1.8 million. That's all capital. We can't take operating out of fund balance, we know that. There's a handful of things we don't have included in there this year. Our property tax rate, we don't have anything proposed for any additional property tax funding included in what the ordinance that you have. And that's all numbers, by the way. So I've got this instead of the sheet that has all the numbers on it. There were a few positions we were not able to fund, and then, as I mentioned on Tuesday, we have, one of the goals that Todd and I have talked about for next year is trying to get a funding mechanism to address the school maintenance needs on a recurring basis. The charts are basically where the money comes from, our revenue sources, and then the chart below, that's where our money comes from. Again, about 77% is our state and local sales tax and property tax. And then where the money goes, public safety and schools are really our largest departments or areas that we spend our money. The next two slides are our fund balance. We are right just under that fund balance limit that we have set. And as Todd mentioned in the workshop on Tuesday, at some point between now and this time next year, we do need to talk about looking at our fund balance policy. It is a little more than the norm. And so I think we've been able to take advantage of our savings and the ability to provide some funding for those things. But I think we're getting to the point where revenues are leveling off and what we're adding to fund balance is leveling off. And so I think we need to consider dropping that back just a little bit. And so capital needs, the next couple of slides, there's the totals for capital equipment and projects. And then the slide below that breaks down, there's equipments, the request by department. This is what has been funded in the ordinance that you have in front of you. And then these are the capital projects that have been funded in the ordinance in front of you. So none of this part of it is new in the ordinance that you have. Before we go down to nonprofits, Kathy, do you mind switching over to the budget adjustment? Okay. Okay. So I had direction from City Council at the last meeting to make the adjustments using this format and these items. So we, in the ordinance, the difference between what you saw at the workshop and what's in your ordinance now, there is a $45,000 maintenance of effort for the schools. That is the increase in the cost of their bus purchase. 911 had an increase. And then the additional increase to the library of $13,500. Any questions on those? Okay, so at this point, those are the only changes that I have in the budget ordinance, and we kind of stopped on hotel motel tax at the last meeting. Kathy, do you mind pulling up? I think the one slide before the hotel motel tax is nonprofits. The only, none of those changed. Don't pay attention to 911. That one did change. The rest of them, as far as the true nonprofits, not the quasi-governmentals, those are the same as they had in the budget last year, those that submitted on time.
What was the municipalities that said that they were going up on their 911? Was it
So
Tuscaloosa,
that's,
Mulsanne?
Tuscaloosa, it's all of them.
now? Okay.
Mhm. Okay. So the next one down, this is kind of where we ended up on hotel motel tax. At the last one, at our last meeting. And with that, I'm gonna kind of shift to Todd just a little bit.
Yes.
We have some options to talk about that particular funding. And then after that, I want to apologize in advance. I have been caught up in a payroll software change, and so I did neglect to send you the legislation that I need to call to your attention today. So I have it here, and I will get it to you. It's very short. It's a one-pager. But I'll go ahead and talk about it. Thank you, Kathy. I'll go ahead and talk about that. This may affect what we do today. So this came about yesterday as a result of a call that I made to the comptroller's office to clarify questions about, are we able to fund positions with hotel motel tax? That question has been researched and answered, and the answer is no. However, you can tie salaries to an activity. For example, if, let's just use Park and Rec, for the beach volleyball. If they have a staff member that is dedicated to that particular event, and that is considered a tourism, we're bringing people in from outside the town and the county, that can be applied to that. So when we report it, we have to report that salary piece in with that component, that particular activity. So I got that clarification, which led to this conversation. So the highlighted part in the bottom is really important because I think we have appropriated funds in hotel motel tax that we really shouldn't have across the board. That wording specifically says that a municipality shall not use revenue from the tax levied on items that were previously funded by the municipality's general appropriations. So you can't swap the money. It's basically how it was described. And so a good example of that is Dixon Williams. We were paying for Dixon Williams out of our regular general fund, and we have shifted that to hotel motel tax. So at the advice of the comptroller, we need to shift that back to our general fund. Okay? Now, with that said, hang on with me just a little bit. So we went to that one, and then we went to some of Park and Rec activities, and then we just one by one, her name's Lori Bernard, she and I both went one by one and just trying to talk at the 1,000-foot level. If we paid for this before we had hotel motel tax out of our general fund appropriations for these agencies, we can't swap it and make it hotel motel tax. So we weren't paying for beach volleyball before, we can pay for that out of hotel motel tax. We weren't paying for impact operationally, a subsidy for marketing or anything like that. We can out of this. So I say that to say, I think the majority of what we have paid for, we really need to do our due diligence and look at what we have. 24 is already finished and been reported. 25 I can look at and kind of see. 26, I think we really need to take a good hard look at it. We have submitted one annual report. We have not been audited yet on that, so I have no feedback from the group that approves whether or not these are truly tourism activities. So I had that conversation with them yesterday. So that throws a little bit of a curveball I did not see coming. The legislation that we have been focusing on as an entity and a board is defining tourism, which is the previous parts of this, not this part. And so I asked a question, and that gave me another, issue. And the reporting requirements are that if we're audited and they deem that that is not a legitimate hotel motel tax expenditure, we have to put that money back in from our general fund taxpayer money. So I want to be, as your finance director, I'm charged with being as careful as I can with all of our funds, whether it's hotel motel tax money or we're appropriating taxpayer money. So that raised a concern with me. Yesterday, I walked through it with Todd for a little bit, just trying to get a handle on how does that affect us? What does that do? So I give you that information before we start looking at options. Because regardless, for me, my recommendation is regardless of what level we fund hotel motel tax, until I get a firm answer from the comptroller's office, I'm really not ready to release those funds to the entities, including our internal department. I think we really need to do our due diligence and make sure that we're not violating anything we're charged with. Feedback, comments on that part?
With that said, though, can we still budget some amounts knowing that
Yes,
we may have to come back and rebudget or amend that as feedback from the comptroller comes in?
Yes, so we do have the ability, if we had to, I don't recommend it, please don't do that. If we could amend the budget every month if we needed to. I usually try to do that at least twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. So I would encourage you, if you want to appropriate to agencies, let's get something in the budget that we all can agree on, and then let me go back and work with the comptroller's office to try to get a handle on what this really looks like. Once we determine that, I personally would like to sit down with Beverly at Dixon Williams and Jeff at the partnership and Vicki and even our Parks and Rec people. I'd like to be able to sit down and kind of talk through to make sure that we're all on the same page. That's just where I'm at with it. I think there's too much unknown right now. So I do encourage you, if you want to appropriate something, I would rather you do that now. Whether it's what we already have and we're going to leave it, whether it's one of the options, I think there are 6 options now on the table, whatever that looks like. I just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. That's the plan that I have for this bucket of money. Just trying to make sure we do the best job we can. So at that point, questions, comments, concerns?
So, if we go through the budgeting process and say we're gonna do $275,000 for the hotel motel, but we don't know exactly how it's gonna be, but overall, the whole amount to be spent, we can go ahead and do that.
Yes.
And then go forward.
Yes.
I also think, and I hate to keep kicking things down the road, but I did have a stroke 2 weeks ago. And so I also would I've heard from a lot of people,
Yes.
and I've heard from a lot of people. And I've got my thoughts, but I haven't done a good job of putting my thoughts together. So I think Tim put a number together or some ideas or suggestions. I don't know that anyone else did.
I think it's added in 6.
It added
Yeah.
6. And we do have a staff recommendation for that, and I'll explain that when we get to that.
But the staff recommendation doesn't matter because it doesn't matter.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, I don't, so-
That is true. For me, it matters only in the sense that whatever we decide, that whether it's a staff recommendation or another one, whatever we budget gives us a starting point. So we can start here, we can start here, or we can look at the options and see what they are for funding.
well, and if you want to put them up, we can take a look at that.
Okay? Okay.
What happens if we decide to appropriate this money from the hotel motel tax and we approve it in the budget, and then all but maybe 2 end up something we have to go into the general fund to fund? Are we gonna have those resources? I mean, we've got a balanced budget, but that's based on tapping into these.
Yes, so the only one that I can make an even swap is Dixon Williams because of the dollar amount. That's it. It's the only one I can make a swap.
And that's why Laura's suggesting that we while we can pass a budget, we don't necessarily want to expend funds or appropriate funds until we get a definite answer from the comptroller.
Yes.
So we can pass a budget, but we may want to slow down on actually appropriating funding because we don't want to necessarily have that clawed back through the general fund.
Laura, which items under the hotel motel tax right now would be in question that might need to be pulled out of the general fund? If we were to go ahead and fund now, worst case scenario, which items would we need to look at as they might have to be coming out of the general fund and not hotel motel tax dollars?
Everything except the beach volleyball, the capital improvement for the tennis facility, and impact. All the rest of it. We would need to really go back and look and make sure we didn't, and it wasn't anything anybody intentionally did, so I don't want to come across that way. But 3 years ago, we didn't have this funding. Now we have this funding, and we have, I'm sure each entity, even internally, we've just swapped some money, and we just weren't able to do that.
I'm going to be a smart aleck, but how did we miss that? That last comment, how did we miss that?
Okay.
That is the most important thing on that. We missed that.
Okay.
How did we miss that?
Because for the last 2 years, the conversation has completely encircled around me getting a definition on what tourism is. And we didn't get that until a year ago when we had this report that we're supposed to send that MTAS and the comptrollers worked on. That's been the sole focus of all of it.
But
So
still,
my miss, everybody's miss, or anything, I had no idea. Because I generally just go by what they tell me I'm allowed to do and not to do. So we weren't chasing this part of it. We were chasing the definition of the tourism.
how did I miss it? How did any of us miss it? That's pretty.
Yes.
Is
How
there a
many
work?
other types of issues do we have like this? I mean, this is such a difficult.
An interlocal agreement between the city and county. It's how many years old?
But that has nothing to do with an
Not
interlocal
that, but
agreement
it
on
will,
this.
I think,
Huh?
how we're spending the tourism money, period.
But that's not interlocal, I don't think, is it?
It will. be.
They've got theirs, we've got ours.
And another part of the problem, again, nobody's fault, is we have legislation that the county operates under that's pre-2021. And so there's been some confusion about how we spend that. We have different legislation. And so it is so new. That's part of the issue. The other part of the issue is when they enacted this legislation, in my opinion, we had no guidance. We had to wait for 15 months to get the definitions of tourism and how that reporting, what that reporting looks like to the comptroller's office and the Department of Tourism and all that. So I'm not blaming anybody. It's just they started out and we didn't have all the information. So we've been going down one path. And literally, if I had not asked the question about one and we pulled up the legislation and started looking, we would have missed it continually until somebody pointed it out.
And shame on them, I think, for not catching it. You said it's been looked at one time. You'd think they would have asked those kinds of things. I think Tim's comment about the interlocal agreement, there's another thing about our economic development monies. Can you explain that?
Yeah, and I should have brought the legislation, maybe I'll do that at the next meeting, but Title VI, Chapter 58, Section 114. In 1999, the state did what's called Public Chapter 1101, but it's comprehensive planning legislation. And with that comprehensive planning, the state identified for each of the 95 counties, there's a designated economic development entity. And part of the language, and I may have it, I don't want to. I'd rather read it to you directly so I don't misread it. But I didn't bring it with me. Anyway, part of,
Thank you.
The top of the language, the top of the language says that for every county, the cities and the county government should have an interlocal agreement that kind of drives how the economic development entity is structured. To the extent that that joint interlocal agreement will develop a formula for determining the amount of funds for each participating government. It does note that if as of May 19th, 1998, a county and city government have a joint economic and community development council, which we did, that has an established funding mechanism. I don't know if we have an established funding mechanism in 1998, but that funding mechanism shall be utilized in lieu of the formula established in this subsection. But it does require that there's an interlocal agreement. Now, Laura and I, we did some research, we looked, couldn't find anything. It may be out there, we just don't have a copy of it. I talked with our IDB counsel. He's not aware of anything. Our city attorney is not aware of it. So maybe that's a good first step, is maybe it's an opportunity for the municipalities and the county, let's sit down and have a interlocal agreement, if it doesn't exist. And Mayor Morrison, maybe you've got one, that we just don't have one, but maybe that's a good first step, is the mayor sit down and let's just maybe start with an interlocal agreement on economic development funding, and we can put it on paper, and it's very transparent every year that this is the funding level that each municipality should bring to the table. It may make things a little more transparent, a little more easier next year, hopefully.
Just very quickly, I also want to go back. If you look over the last 3 years of what we've been doing as a town with the COVID issues, and money's coming in and money's coming in and money's coming in, and not knowing when it's going to come or where it's going to come or how it's going to come. We also made some assumptions, which we all know what that will do to us, on how much our hotel motel taxes would be, and we overestimated. So we're kind of cutting back on that now. We've also got, it's just a different time. And so I think Todd and I have talked quite a bit, and I want to continue to talk. I would like to start having meetings twice a year, maybe with the city or the county commission. I saw Kingsport and the Sullivan County Commission are starting to get together, and we could meet at least once per year. I don't think I'm not aware of that ever happening. Maybe we just yell at each other or scream at each other or something like that, but I think that we need to start working together, because we're all in this together, and we have not been a good steward with each other, I don't believe, over the years, and we can do better than we have. We've got the Green Valley property that's going on. We really need to all be together on that, working 100%. We've got the 11E, the whole highway, that whether we like it or not, it goes to Tusculum, it goes to the Green Valley product, it goes to Mossheim, and we haven't really done a good job of preparing. I think we have looked and seen that, and I've been in office for 5 years now, so I accept a lot of responsibility. There's things that I don't know about, and interlocal agreements that we're trying to work on, it takes us longer than it should. We've got to find better ways to do that. This really has, it does. It has something to do with our budget, but we don't have some of the dollars that just showed up, and we were able to buy new cars and new trucks and new fire departments and new things, and now we're not going to have these monies. So how are we going to plan for this? We got schools and things that we got to do. So I guess what I'm saying is, this is a very difficult budget year, and now we've got a whole nother things going on that make it even more Thank you. Everybody, I need help in words, so please help me. So my wife says I'm talking too much, so maybe I'm talking too much, but we need everybody's help. And so I don't know where we want to go from here. I don't know exactly what we need to do. I almost feel like right now, in my mind, we say we're gonna have $290,000, 500 that we're gonna spend, and we'll come up where we're gonna spend it. These are some ideas we've got suggestions on. I don't have a vote. It can-
Feedback,
Maybe
anybody?
you want to pull those numbers up?
Do you,
Can we start with the known quantities? We know we're gonna be able to fund impact. We know we're gonna be able to fund, what was the other one? Volleyball, and there was a third one.
Sports complex renovations.
yeah, the sports complex.
Okay, so we know we can fund those. Let's start from that point and work our way out. We can spend the money somewhere. We know we're gonna spend it there because we can. Where can we spend the rest of it, and how do we set that up?
One other thing, if we're talking, wait until somebody's through so we can share it with everyone.
One thing I will say that we haven't said is we do not have to appropriate our hotel tax money. We're not required to appropriate that money in any given year. And I say that because there is a best practice that you appropriate a third for tourism activities, you appropriate a third for capital improvements for tourism, and you bank for a future tourism. Typically, it's a capital improvement. We haven't done that. We've actually overspent every year. My recommendation, whatever we budget, is no more than the 275 revenue and leave our reserve alone. That's my recommendation, is just to leave the bottom line alone.
Why is that?
I just don't think it's fiscally responsible to completely deplete a
What are
reserve.
we going to use it for, though, if you bank it? Why don't we put the money to use?
We could use that money for a grant match for any kind of tourism capital improvement.
A special project that comes
Special
up,
project that comes up.
a capital need.
I'm sorry?
For instance?
Okay, for instance, another entity, another municipality has used their hotel motel tax reserve to prepare for an NAIA track and field tournament, and actually took that money over a couple of years anticipating that, and built 2 track and field components to be used. So that's one example of it. If the NAIA beach volleyball, we have 1 court. If we needed 2 courts, there you go. So if we have whatever it looks like, whatever that is. So we can do that. We can use it for a grant match. We can use it for those special projects. So I'm not discouraging you from appropriating anything. I just want to make sure that you understand. It doesn't need to, we don't need to bank all of it for years and years and years and years. I think that's not fiscally responsible either.
And we've got 60-something.
61 some odd thousand in there currently.
Okay.
So, do you want to just leave this where it's at? Do you want to?
Can you go back to the options,
Yeah.
please? That's what I think.
So the one that is colored is the staff recommendation. That is our $275,000, just if we're going to appropriate all of our revenue. So let me give you a little background where that came from. I took the $275,000. We had $335,500 in request. So that 275 gets us 80% of what everybody requested. So I just applied 80% across the board. My reason to each one of those. My reasoning behind that is, from the town's perspective, that's our budgeting approach anyway. We ask all of our departments, and we approach our budget. We have X number of revenue dollars outside of capital things, but we have X number of revenue dollars, and so this is what our budget is. And so I started thinking, well, to be perfectly transparent, if we ask it of our departments to spend their money that way, to make it equitable, if we're gonna appropriate hotel motel tax, I just apply the same concept. So we have 275,000, that's 80% of the request, and that's what we fund for this year. That's, may not be the best and latest and greatest, but that's how I came about that. There's 5 other options up there to be considered. Some of them depleting the reserve down to about $1,100 or $1,200. Some of them just leaving it alone. Thoughts, comments?
Yeah, now we have taken Dixon Williams and Green Fling out of it. That raises our total amount, correct?
Well, the total,
But we're going to
yes.
have to come up some way another way to,
Well,
for Green Fling to happen.
well, the majority of those, if not all of those expenses, other than the staff reimbursement, is already in their Park and Rec budget. So I talked to them, talked to Butch and Tim this afternoon. We're okay. We have a plan for that. We're
Okay.
fine. Dixon Williams, I do have another line item in the budget that we typically have in our economic development line. There's $15,000 there that I can swap that
I
out.
don't feel like, I don't feel safe in voting on something I'm just now hearing.
No, that's,
But you've talked to Tim and Butch, and they're okay with this, but I don't know how that's funded. How is it funded?
it's already in their
it's-
budget. It's in their budget anyway.
The Green Fling?
The Green
We
Fling
were
is in
just
their
paying-
budget anyway, except for that personnel request, those extra personnel dollars that are in there. So I think of that, 34,750, it's about 20, correct me if I'm wrong, where's Butch? It's about $25,000 that we've got in there to offset personnel costs.
Okay.
So other than that piece, theirs is already taken care of.
Got it. Other than the Green Fling,
Well, the Green Fling's already in there.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's being taken out of the hotel motel.
But it's already in their operating expenses. So what we do with Park and Rec, since it's an internal department, is we budget the revenue for hotel motel tax to cover their expenses. And if we've given the Green Fling $5,000 and they give us $8,000, $5,000 of that comes out of that hotel motel tax reserve when we make the adjustment at the end of the year. So it offsets some of our general fund dollars is what it does,
Okay.
okay? So, but that's already in their budget, taken care of.
If it's already taken care of, why do we put it in the hotel motel?
It was in there.
tax?
I didn't make any adjustments. I haven't made any adjustments at all to hotel motel tax, at all.
But I still don't know if we've got it in their operations. You're saying you're gonna,
This is
Right.
this is the revenue portion of it. For me, for budgeting, this is where we're taking our hotel motel tax revenue and we're gonna offset something for Park and Rec that's already in our budget. The agencies were actually writing checks. Park and Rec, we're just gonna offset something that's already in our budget.
And if you look at, Parks and Rec, they're gonna do, let's start with the Green Fling. That's budgeted, that's gonna happen, right? Butch is gonna plan and the staff is gonna plan for the Green Fling. Now, if it's not subsidized, there are resources, dollars, staff time that's coming out of the general fund. If it's funded through the hotel motel tax, that general fund is basically reimbursed, much like if it was an independent agency, those resources, funding resources would be reimbursed through the hotel motel tax.
but it seems to me that if we go back to that first thing that Laura put up, we're saying we can't use monies that are being,
Right.
so we're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point, is I didn't find out until yesterday in that conversation with her that we were not handling this correctly. So that's news. So what I really need, to simplify it for you, is I guess what I need to know at this point, if you want to budget something, do you want one of these options? Do you want to leave it alone? Let us get some answers. Let me talk to these entities, get a plan, come back. If we need to amend the budget, we'll amend the budget. Because for budgeting purposes, I need a bottom line expenditure, what that total is for hotel motel tax. So if you want us to plan on, Kathy, can you go back to the slide that had that? If you want us to go back to the $290,500, I can put that, that's actually where we started in the budget. So if that's where you want me to go for hotel motel tax, I just have to tweak that expenditure line. Well, in the budget, it's 275.
And the green fling may be out when you find out exactly.
There's a lot of it that may
So-
be out.
So that's,
A
One,
lot of it that may
what
be
will
out.
Dixon Williams, the 15,000, the 10,000 we had in FY '25 for green fling will be out, that you know of right now.
Yeah, that I know of.
Laura, I have a question. So for instance, looking at the partnership, so under this model, according to this law, we, or statute or whatever, we technically are not permitted to fund them because the city previously funded them out of our general fund. So to be in compliance, we technically should not fund them for the fiscal year 2026 and with hotel motel tax dollars. That's question number one.
Okay, so the answer to your question is yes, because they've had their regular appropriation. We funded them at whatever, 105,000 out of hotel motel. That was just extra money for them. That's additional money that was strictly for their tourism dollars and efforts. But before we had hotel motel tax, and I'll take the Irish Festival for example, we were already, whether they reported it, if we had to report on our appropriation, whether they were using that 95,000 or not, for that, the Irish Festival existed before we had hotel motel tax. So if they're going to report that under hotel motel tax, this legislation says, well, that existed. So theoretically, we were providing other funding for them then. Does that make sense?
Right. So that was my second question, was if they have specific activities for tourism that
Yes.
that came after that,
Yes.
they can request those funds or request funding for those activities. So things like Firefly Festival, Wings and Wheels. What year did Wings and Wheels happen?
We're confusing. We had ECD budget of 95,000.
Yes.
That's economic development. We did not use that money for tourism.
To Jeff's point, I mean to interrupt you, but I want to clear this up. So to that point, that's why I need to sit down with them and find out what's new money for tourism and what were we doing before that we weren't. So if that was strictly economic development money, we're okay on this one. I just have to clarify that. So whatever we put in the budget, once I get an answer from the comptroller's office, I'm really gonna need to sit down with these entities and make sure that, one, we get a mechanism in place so that we can monitor this throughout the year, and we're not
Well,
caught like this
FY
again.
'25, we were funding the partnership at 95,000 out of the general budget for ECD.
Yes, that's correct.
And then we gave them $105,000
Right.
of hotel motel
Right.
for tourism.
Right.
So if you're saying that we were funding the Irish Festival or whatever they're using the money for out of our general budget, that has to be gone out of hotel motel tax.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if that is not the case, to Jeff's point, I just need to have that conversation with him to determine how much of his, if all of it's eligible, great, fine, well, and good. If half of it's eligible, then we got to go back and punt again.
And we don't have to fund this until we're ready to fund it.
That's correct.
I'll make the motion, we just go with FY '25 until we find out what the rules and regulations are.
FY '25 or '26?
'25,
25?
a continuing resolution.
yes, until we find out what's going on. And that way, because we know $25,000 of it's going to be funded somewhere else. That's my motion. But it may all change, according to Laura. Right? Laura?
Yes.
Am I stating that correctly?
Yes, some of it will change, yes.
Yes.
So we're going to stick at 289.
But like I said, that's not a zero. That's not a zero fund balance.
We have $275 of revenue. Do you want to do 275 and leave it at that and then go back and?
Okay. But we have 61,000
Yes,
in the existing fund balance right now, correct?
yes.
61, 7, somewhere around in there. I can't read that board, even though it's huge. I can't read that one.
So do you want to leave it at 289, draw down
You can draw-
the fund balance?
Yeah. and none of it's guaranteed. I'm just saying to move this meeting along, or we're gonna be here all night. But let's go with the FY 25, same as 26, and then we can change them.
Okay.
Because it's not guaranteed money, correct? Laura,
Yes, I'm making notes.
maybe?
And if I could clarify, is that
Yeah.
a motion on approving the first reading of the budget
Yes.
with that?
We can
Okay,
change it. We can change it in 2 weeks.
okay.
And the
Surely 2
appropriate
weeks is enough.
allocations from 2025.
Surely 2 weeks.
For
is
hotel
enough.
motel tax, the allocations from 2025. That's the way I understand it.
Yeah, we didn't have 279, we got 275 allocated this year, correct? But we
Sir.
spent the two, I can't read that, I'm sorry. I've got that somewhere.
Yeah, we have 275 this year, so that's $14,000 out of the reserve.
Correct.
So your motion is to pull this out of the budget and just do a continuing resolution?
No, let's don't do that.
No.
No. It's part of the
Well, I
budget
don't
ordinance.
understand.
It's part of the budget. So I think what Tim wants to do is, correct me if I'm wrong, the motion to approve the budget on first reading with the hotel motel tax funding at the same level as FY 25
That's correct.
until we get clarification, and then if we need to amend the budget, we will. Does that,
That's correct.
okay.
So we keep 275 as a placeholder, basically.
289.
Okay.
It doesn't change the budget because that extra comes from the reserve. So it's just the amount that comes out of the reserve. So I'm good. I'm good. Okay.
We can
We
sit
have a
here all
motion.
night and say what if or whatever, let's find out. Let's pass something right now. We'll find out next
Great.
2 weeks and we'll correct it.
But this is only for this portion. Okay. So we have a motion.
We've got the entire budget to vote on, correct?
So this is one change to the budget ordinance. Any other changes to the budget ordinance at all on first reading?
That's correct.
So
That's my motion.
Okay. I had a stroke 2 weeks ago, so I'm gonna
It's
have.
It's
I haven't
okay,
had one.
Cal.
I'm confused.
It's okay, Cal. You're good, Mayor.
This first motion is just for the whole budget or just for this
It's for the
portion?
whole
It is
budget.
for the
It's for the whole budget,
We just can't pull that out. It's for the whole
because
budget.
everybody else is okay with everybody else. All right.
Got a motion.
We don't have a second.
We have a motion to approve the budget in first reading with the hotel motel tax at 289, but not. So we have a motion.
So the 280, we're saying that we want to keep it at 289. Are we talking about with keeping the allocations from 2025? So that 289, we're saying we're going to approve it at Dixon Williams Mansion, 15,000, Greene County Partnership, 105,000, all those line items. And then when we figure out, you can amend it from there. That's what I'm trying to,
So
what
what I-
makes up the 289?
So what I suggest is, of the 289, 275 is revenue. In my budget, there's 275 revenue right now, 275 expenses. The other 14,000, whether you do 25 or 26, that extra money comes out of the reserve. So you're really not changing the total appropriation for hotel motel tax. The motion was to approve it, basically 275 and 275 with whatever coming out of the bottom line. It's a we're approving, I think the motion is to approve that number as a whole and not individual allocations.
Let me clarify for him.
Sure,
and
you go ahead.
The 289, we're going to take 275 of it and the rest is going to come out fund balance if we leave it that way.
Okay.
Which is not going to be left that way. You've
Right.
already told us it can't
Right.
be.
can I make one suggestion?
Okay.
I think we're pretty confident Dixon Williams is leaving hotel motel tax. If we took that out and shifted it to general fund, you're at 274. So you're pretty much where your revenues are going to be.
I mean, it is what it is, but let's let her clarify everything. We can do it all in 2 weeks.
Fair enough.
Mine stands as the way it is. You understand? Okay. That's my motion, Mayor.
Okay. Does everybody understand the motion? One thing I will say is I would like to see the partnership stay at $95,000 at least for this year. And that's not a part of the, that's just me saying
That's what I had
something
in 6, but we're gonna go back to this
in
until.
case I have a stroke in next week. So anyway, I'm gonna try not to. I'm doing everything that I can. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have any further discussion? Do I hear any motion, or do I hear a motion to say aye? If you want to have a motion, say aye. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We got 3. All those against, like sign. All those against nay, like. If you're against it, say aye.
So it's 4-0.
Okay, so it's 4-0. All right, motion carries. I'm getting a little, no, I'm not, I'm joking. I better stop. Okay. You want to wait? All right. Next is item 8.3, and it's a consideration to approve a bid for issuing $1 million in a capital outlay note to purchase the Green Technology Center. Laura?
Yes, so, we had, for capital outlay notes, their informal bid. I have received approval from the comptroller's office to move forward with, the bond issue. We had one bid, from Andrew Johnson Bank. This is a 7-year, $1 million, capital outlay note. This is to purchase the Green Technology Center. And the interest rate, the cap was 5%, and they came in consistently with 4.95%.
Okay, so we just had one.
Yes.
I want to thank Andrew Johnson Bank for being a good community citizen. So do I hear a motion to approve this capital outlay note?
I'll make that motion.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I don't guess we need, so it's 3-0, so we'll move forward. Thank you to Andrew Johnson. Item 8.4 is consideration to approve an ordinance on first reading to amend the fiscal year 2025 budget.
So this is the current year budget. So, most of the adjustments are directly related to that street resurfacing grant. That we still don't have a confirmation on what that's even gonna look like for 26. So I had planned on it. I'm gonna take the whole project out, revenue and expenditures. That's a lot of, on the expenditure side, that's like 2 million. So that's gonna go away, on the revenue and expenditure side. The only other largest one that I have is we got, the final invoice from JMT for Depot Street, for Summers Taylor's their last large invoice. That's about $360,000 roughly. The rest of what's on here are literally just our regular year-end tweaks where we've had operational savings, additional revenue, didn't get as much revenue. And so, questions, comments, that's a lot of numbers on a page, but I will point out, the schools have one on first reading. Second reading, there will be a change. There are 2 other general purpose school funds amendments that go on second reading. That's normal for us. We catch them up at the end of the year. I did get Laura and Casey at the Water Commission. They have done a great job all the way around. But in particular, staying in contact with our analyst at the comptroller and trying to make sure that they're budgeting for the disaster recovery appropriately. So they have that covered in the 26 budget in their portion of the budget ordinance. So they do have a small expenditure adjustment for the disaster recovery in this ordinance. So those really are the biggest changes across the board.
So if TDOT comes in and says we need to sign this agreement on June 30th for them to get started, but we don't have the money, and then they tell us it's going to be another 15 years. That won't happen, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, we've got the ordinance. The amendment for the fiscal year 2025 budget agreement. Do I hear a motion to
I'll
approve?
make that motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
I
Laura.
appreciate the work that you do and on the budget in general, but
Thank
this
you.
year's been difficult, so
You've
I
done
appreciate
a
it.
lot. You and your office have done a fantastic.
Thank you, I appreciate it very
Yes, they
much.
have.
Yes, you have.
And it's clear as mud.
One thing I might suggest that we do next year is have meetings a little bit ahead of time, like we have in the past, because I think that might help. But anyway, we'll talk about that later
We
too.
did, you weren't here.
Oh, yeah.
We're waiting on you.
Thank you. Item 8.5 is consideration to approve bid for construction at the Eagles Rest Pocket Park on South Main Street.
Mayor and City Council, we have received a bid for the Pocket Park from Skilled Services Quality Construction. And I see our architect, Mr. Wright's back there. If you have any questions about details, I'm sure he can answer them. The bid came back at $272,700. Our budget for the project is $175,000. Mr. Wright's already sat down, I think, and met with Skilled Services, and they've come to a bit of a proposal to reduce the budget amount or the bid amount. What I am looking for today is approval from the city council to approve the bid, but I would cap
Hey,
it.
you can't leave. You got to stay. If you come, you got to stay.
The county would have amended that at least 4 ways.
Thank you for coming. Sorry.
That's okay.
Can Dave come up here?
Yeah, Dave, can you come up and talk about the project? While he's coming up, I'm, again, asking approval to accept the bid, but to cap my authority to execute the bid at $175,000, which is our budgeted amount for this project.
So Dave, you feel confident that you can value engineer this
Yes,
project down to the 175?
Yes, we've been through some value engineering exercises on that, and the basic text of the entire project stays the same, except we've taken a little bit of fat out. And we know we have a wall right now that's dividing the Pocket Park from Mr. Livingston's property. We had some pretty stuff to go on top of that wall. We've taken that out. The wall stays, but we've taken the fencing out of that. So that's some stuff
That
that
was
we
a
can
part
add
I
later
liked in
on.
it too, though.
Yeah.
I know we can't have everything,
Yeah.
and I just never dreamed it was going to be this expensive to do that.
Yeah.
Is the sign staying?
The big sign that goes right now.
It goes right now?
Yeah, that's about a $30,000 piece that was never ever part of the project until the very end.
That right?
So, but we've added that, so that's about $30,000 that we're taking out. Hoping that we might be able to add that back in maybe once the sidewalk project maybe comes into play later on. And we've taken the container sizes. We've had container sizes for the planning. We've taken that size down to a degree as well.
On the wall between the two properties, can we go ahead and core that for a railing
Yeah.
at a different
Yeah.
time in case
Oh,
we
yeah.
get?
Yeah, actually, Todd and I are going to meet with Skilled Services tomorrow at 11, and we're going to maybe try to fine tune that a little bit. Maybe I can come back again next month to maybe give you a little bit more general idea of exactly where we're going with that. We everything else stays the same. Plumbing stays the same. Electrical stays the same. Just taking some fat out. Concrete stays the same. just
The
the
pavers,
frills.
the grass.
Yeah, I actually asked him about the sod
mulch.
and grass. He said sod is basically gonna be a little bit better, so we're keeping the sod. We're keeping the sod and so again, that,
We had that facade torn down on that building, I think, in 2000, 2001. It's not like we're rushing into anything,
yeah.
but it's got a lot more expensive than I ever dreamed.
Yeah, I mean,
But I'll make that motion that as
Yeah.
long as we stay at our budget price and you can value engineer with the lowest bidder, I'll make that motion.
yes, again, I
They've
wish
got
we
a
had
draw,
that,
they've
yeah.
got a quote in here at 174.9,
Yes, right.
so it's in here now.
Yeah, I was wondering what
What all was cut out.
And that was Todd's recommendation, not their original bid, because that's what we're going on, right?
We're approving the original bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would,
Value engineer,
Value
no
eng-
more than 175,000.
yes, sir.
Got it. That's my motion.
There's
Laura.
that.
Okay.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Gosh, I got it out that time. It's amazing. John, you can't leave. All right. Doesn't listen very well either. Does it? No. Item 8.6 is consideration to approve the recommended bid agreement for Town Hall and Greenville Police Department cleaning services. Who's going to come in for that?
I can address that. We did a RFP several weeks ago, and the bids came back in for cleaning services for the town of Greenville and for the police department. We got several bids on that, and our staff recommendation for that is professional cleaning services. I'm trying to get the exact name here.
Is that you? By any chance? Yes.
I'm not professional, cleaning services, I'm with Jowers Cleaning.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Can you bring that up? There he is. That's the recommendation is for professional cleaning services, cleaning solutions, to accept that bid. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the numbers. They came in at, scroll down just a little bit more. Okay, $2,600, and that's a monthly charge for their service. So that's based on their price and their references that they've supplied for us.
Okay, we have a motion or a recommendation. Do I hear a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8.7 is consideration to approve the towing bid agreement for the Greenville Police Department. Chief Spano. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Well, pretty happy to be here.
So the towing company that we had some issues and was no longer able to perform the services that we need. And the services were for, maybe our cars break down. This is not if we're on working wrecks and we have to call a wrecker in. This is specifically for our department where if one of our cars breaks down, we have to have it towed, or we need one towed for seizure. If we were to seize it, or if we needed it for evidence where they could lock it up inside. I believe one bid came in. Only one bid came in, and it was Malone's Wrecker Service, so I request that you approve them for
And
our towing business.
And council member Teague is going to start pulling cars out of parking with our towing also? Is that part of this we're signing up for?
No,
Starting on Main Street.
Okay, well, we have a recommendation, and there was only one, and it's a local company. We got a motion.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, chief. I guess you get to talk again. Consideration to approve the purchase of 7 body cameras for the Greenville Police Department. It's paid through litigation fees.
Yes, it will be, and it's, basically what it is we're just gonna attach it on to the contract we already have with them, and it'll be paid over the next 5 years.
Okay. Well, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. We need to take care of our policemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8.9 is consideration of a resolution for the town of Greenville to apply, accept, administer, and amend the Governor's Response and Recovery Fund, GRF. Kathy?
Yeah, I can handle this.
Okay.
This is a recovery and response recovery fund. This is obviously a Hurricane Helene-related program through the state of Tennessee. We're going to be applying up to $350,000 for a mitigation project in which we are going to work with an engineering firm that will go through a process to define that will identify, map, and survey our existing storm water system. And if you look at the town of Greenville as we've developed over a couple of centuries plus, as neighborhoods and homes have developed, developers and homeowners have just put in a line here, a stormwater line here, a ditch here. Some have gone under homes or buildings, and it's just organically grown over the couple of centuries, but there's no coordinated effort. And so our first step to trying to coordinate our stormwater system is just to identify what is the infrastructure we have today. And so this grant is to do a survey, identification, and mapping of the existing stormwater system that we have.
After seeing them digging underneath that house on Main Street, we need to do some checking. So do I hear a motion to approve this grant? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion or comments?
There's not a match with this, is there?
No, sir, there's not a match.
Even better. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 8.10 is consideration of a resolution for the town of Greenville to apply, accept, administer, and amend the Tennessee Department of Disability and Aging Provider Innovation Grant.
Lot, wasn't it?
It is.
So, good afternoon. I come before you this afternoon to ask that you give us permission to apply, accept, and administer and amend the DDA Provider Innovation Grant. It's $20,000 that we can apply for, with the deadline being for submission of next Friday.
How much?
$20,000.
And this is also no grant, no match.
Yes.
We like free money.
We do, don't
I'll
we?
make that motion.
We got them fighting over this one.
You can make that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Nicole. Were you gonna say something?
No.
I think you were.
No.
He picking a fight.
I don't know. Seems to. 8.11 is consideration of a reappointment to the Greenville Energy Authority Board of Directors, 5-year term, Justin Jeffers.
Mayor, can I make a quick comment? The next 4 items are reappointments for boards and commissions. I know City Council has talked about a process to select board and commission members. We are recommending for just the near term, the fact that we've got a handful of boards and commissions that need some reappointments, that we're asking for these reappointments under I'll call it the current system of making appointments, fully knowing that later that this board's going to have a workshop to talk about the process, and it may change, but in the meantime, we're requesting that these board seats be filled.
Well, and Mr. Jeffers was just selected as a reappointment.
He was fulfilling Jim Emery's time. Now it's Jim's time's up.
So
So reappointing.
it's only been a month.
And the
Couple
authority
months.
recommended him, right?
Authority.
Up or
Yeah,
down?
Actually, the authority. I don't really know how that works, but
The authority.
we have to approve the authority's wishes.
Right.
So I make that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 812 is consideration of town reappointment to the Greenville Green County Library Board of Trustees, 3-year term, Dr. Maya Hyde.
I may. This
Yes.
is kind of the same situation. This is kind of the same situation. She's filling out a previous board member's last 3 or 4 months, so she literally just came on.
Okay.
But yes, she's enthusiastically report.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 813 is consideration of reappointment to the Greenville Parking Authority, 2-year term. Mr. Doug DeBusk.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We're not gonna let him go.
Everybody wants
Hard to
to be on that parking authority, don't they? If anybody wants to sign up, we'd be glad to get you on there. Yeah. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye. Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 814 is consideration of reappointment to the Civil Service Board, 3-year term, Joe Gonzalez. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 815 is consideration of a special event sign request for the Gifts for Kids fundraiser held on July 11th at 3:00 p.m. in the Town Square Shopping Center.
Yes, sir. I've reviewed all the locations. It meets all the regulations of our ordinance. Worked with these organizers over the last few years, and this is recommended for approval.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion's carries. Thanks you, Bert. I appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn, Mayor. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we will be reconvening as the beer board. So, call to order. Here, put your finger up there. When I saw Cindy had one, I decided where'd she go? Everybody's left me.
You said
Oh, my
beer.
gosh.
They went to the door.
I can do
All right. Item 3.1 is consideration to approve the minutes from the special call meeting held on May 6, 2025. We've had those. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business is consideration of an application for off-premise consumption at National Retail Properties doing business as Greenville Shell, 2490 East Andrew Johnson Highway. Which one is
I
that?
was gonna be talking again, and they all left for some reason.
Yeah. Which one is this?
This is gonna be the Shell station across the street from Lowe's.
Okay.
And,
That same one that's there now?
yes,
Okay.
and the investigation in the applicant doesn't show anything that's gonna conflict with the ordinances of the town of Greenville regarding the sale of beer, so we would respectfully recommend that it be granted.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Do I hear an adjournment?
Second.
Everyone say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you coming today.